Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Husband. So last night we were able to see Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, which is the centerpiece at the New York Film Festival. Matt is working today. He's filming 2 special events this weekend. So I brought my friend Domenic to see the movie with me. So it's a new film from Jim Jarmusch. It won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. I would say my relationship with Jim Jarmusch is pretty new. I mean, I know that he's like a dialogue-driven, realist, minimalist filmmaker, and he really likes like Beat Generation stuff. He reminds me a lot more of like a Jack Kerouac, and his films feel like really fluid in an interesting way. And Domenic, what is your relationship to Jim Jarmusch?
I don't really have one. I started watching, what is it? Something in Zeros? Numbers in Zeros or something like that. One of his I started watching, I turned it off, I didn't like it, and that's my experience with him. And I also didn't like this movie.
Yeah, what did you think of Father, Brother, Sister, Mother, Brother, Person?
Yeah, so I hated it.
So,
but Jeff really liked it, so I'm gonna be really nice.
Yeah, no, I know. I'll talk about why I liked it in a minute. But Domenic and I have known each other for like a really long time. Back like in high school days, we watched a lot of movies together. I would say we disagree pretty frequently, not constantly, but we disagree pretty frequently.
Yeah.
I thought that this film was certainly minimalist, and it had a really tender way about it that I just really liked, that I found so observant. And I mean, the way that Jim Jarmusch characterized it was that he's making a film that's essentially just an observational comedy of how people interact with each other. It's almost like a nature documentary about people. If anyone watching this, and myself included, feels like they have kind of an awkward relationship with their parents, this is probably a movie that you're going to identify with in some way. And in a lot of ways, it's a movie that feels like what they're not talking about, or like the silences are actually louder than what they're actually saying.
Yeah. Okay, so the movie's episodic, right? There's 3 sections.
Yeah, so there's 3 sections. It's a triptych.
Yeah. And so the first section, Father, there's this setup in a car where Adam Driver and the girl,
Maya Bialik.
Yeah, so they're siblings and they're driving, and it's revealed through dialogue pretty early on that Adam Driver's character is getting kind of screwed out of some money by their swindling father, right? So this sets up this theme of like things going unsaid in family units, and this like awkward kind of like elephant in the room.
Yeah, and I don't think this is a spoiler because this literally happens in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah. I will say that I think that the introductory parts, like the exposition, is probably the sloppiest in the film.
Yeah.
It bothered you a lot more than it bothered me, but it was imperfect. And if you think that there's, in short form storytelling, whether it's short fiction or whether it's a short film, you have to do a lot of build-up in a short amount of time, and it's very, very hard to do well. And I don't think that the first 5 minutes of each of these stories was it at their best, to be honest.
Yeah, I would extend that to say that the remaining like 15 minutes of each section was also not the best.
No, I thought that was pretty insightful stuff. I don't know. I think this comes to this. We were talking about this a little bit last night, and then we just stopped talking about it so that we could talk about it in our review. But I think ultimately, if you find value in real life being reflected to the utmost degree in a film, that this is that film.
Yeah.
If you think that that is kind of a cop-out to not have a story and not have characters, then I think you're probably going to have some issues with this movie. Because this, even though there is some exposition, there's some details that it gives you, it really, it gives you very, very little in terms of, backstory. We have to fill in a lot of the blanks. And I think that the reason I was touched by this film is it just reminded me so much of visiting my father and how little we actually have to say to one another, that you end up just talking around things instead of talking to each other.
Yeah, I think there was something in each episode that you really connected with on that level.
Yes.
And I would say that I connected to the film kind of broadly in the sense that my interactions with family members are also uncomfortable and awkward and, belabored with awkward silences. But my whole thing is if you're going to depict that and to lay that out, I want there to be something for me to chew on. that isn't just the awkwardness. And so from my perspective, I felt that the movie, I mean, I was literally watching it like this. Like, I was like, oh my God.
We didn't sit together too, so
Yeah.
I had no idea how he was feeling.
Yeah, it made me so uncomfortable, but not in like a good art makes you uncomfortable way. Like, I just sort of felt like, why bother depicting awkward, stilted, strained family interactions if you're not going to do it in a way that's either formulaically inventive or rigorous? And I don't think that the film was either. I think it was like kind of like, I mean, yeah, I thought that the editing was like really kind of like almost surreal, but not in an interesting way. Like, there would just be these abrupt cuts where suddenly characters were sitting in different configurations around the living room or something like that to imply that time was passing, but I found it to be kind of sloppy. And so as the movie went on, it was just sort of like chipping away more and more at my my bucket, right? So like my bucket was being drained by how awkward the interactions were, and nothing was like filling it back up.
I understand that. I think that for me personally, there's a lot of value in seeing my real life replicated on screen, and that's where I come in as a viewer to bring in a lot of the reflection that makes the film meaningful. So in this case, I think that this film it sounds very simple to say, but this film is ultimately about how little you actually know the people that you spend, a monumental amount of time with, and the ways in which you're close and the ways in which you're very much not close. And I think that this came in and had me reflecting on all of that, which is where I imbued the film with a lot of meaning. Yeah. But at the same time, if you don't have, these are very, upper middle class, kind of prissy, well-read people, artistic people, or they have, good jobs and they dress well for the most part. And if you don't come from that proper type of family that sweeps everything under the rug, I think there could be little here for you. But this is certainly something I've seen both in my family and in practice a lot, that there was just a lot for me to identify with here. And I do want to say that I think Jim Jarmusch is, this is very much a Jim Jarmusch movie, but he's also maturing. So, his older films were about criminals, and they were about people in jail, and they were about these, beatniks moving from town to town. In this movie, Tom Waits used to be a beatnik in his movies, and now Tom Waits is playing, an aging father who's distanced from his children. There's definitely very, old guy reflections coming in here, which you all know I'm a huge sucker for, so I thought that was good too.
Yeah. Now that I got out my negativity, I can say I really like Tom Waits' performance. Really natural, really funny. Adam Driver, okay. I thought Vicky Krieps and Cate Blanchett rocked it out of the park.
They were great.
They were awesome.
And I think they perfectly encapsulated being those siblings where one sibling, probably the firstborn, is really uptight, really proper, does everything the right way, and then the other one is just there as a disruption, usually the secondborn. I'm the disruptive child.
Yeah.
My sister is the one who does everything according to the book, and I loved watching them interact. It reminded me so much of me and my sister.
Yeah. It felt to me like watching the first scene of 3 different plays. These were the introductory scenes where you learn the character dynamics, but then again, it didn't go anywhere, which is fine. It didn't have to go anywhere, but I felt like I had seen this movie before in different configurations. I will say, though...
you have, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Jim, before the movie, he referred to it as a musical piece, and then after the film, he said, if you took one episode and rearranged it and moved it somewhere else, it would have messed up the whole flow. And I do agree with that. So there's this awkward dad encounter, and then this awkward mom encounter, and then it ends with these siblings who actually like each other. And it was such a relief. When they...
See, I really like when characters don't like each other.
Well, yeah, but that's just I can go home and experience that in my own dining room. I don't need to see that on TV.
Oh, I need to see that on TV. Sorry, I was interrupting you.
No. But when the siblings actually liked each other at the end, I was like, thank God, we have some chemistry with the actors and something to chew on that isn't just everybody's kind of feeling awkward right now, And when you have 45 minutes straight of that without it really going anywhere, I don't know. So I did feel a sense of relief at the end, and that was structurally intended, and it was cathartic. But I felt it was such an uphill battle to get there. And again, not in I don't mean movies can challenge you in ways that are really good and productive and artistically meaningful. I felt that this was challenging me in a way where I was I might be impressed if this was somebody's first film. Mm-hmm. That's how sloppy I thought it was, but okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I will say that I was most touched by the last portion, and it's because I don't want to like lean too much on my real life, but I do think that like you make these sensory connections with things, and it's just the way it is. But like what they're doing, the sister and brother, they're clearing out their parents' apartment after their parents passed away. That's the whole like setup of the entire story, and that's something I did like a year ago. So I was just like seeing so much of myself in that. But I also think you're right about it being a musical piece, in that there is a compounding awkwardness and discomfort in the film that it really gives you a lot of relief towards the end in order to, I think, leave you on a more positive note. And I was really touched by a lot of it. And again, it's very, very simple, that last portion. You know, it's about a sister and brother reflecting with one another. And again, there is a lot of silences, but I think that there is like a deep humanity in that is probably lacking in the other two.
Yeah.
So.
Can I say one more thing that's negative?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Great. So the official sponsor of the New York Film Festival, right?
I was thinking about this.
Yeah, is Rolex.
But you say your piece.
So I don't know how this movie got funded or whatever. Clearly, Rolex had a hand in giving money to this movie, because in each episode there is extremely egregious Rolex product placement, and it was woven in a way that was like kind of funny or whatever. Yeah, that really bummed me out. I think by the end of it, I sort of felt like it was just a Rolex ad. Yeah,
so Rolex is the main partner of the New York Film Festival this year, so every time they introduce the New York Film Festival, it says in partnership with Rolex. Jim Jarmusch has been part of the New York Film Festival for like 30 years, so yeah. I don't think it was picked just for that, but I will say it's a happenstance that I'm not loving the connection of.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It was just, yeah. And I mean, I don't, like, however you get your movie funded, like, whatever, I don't care. But there was so little else that it really stood out.
So, you ready to go to grades?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give this movie a B+. I thought it was great. It's definitely, it sounds odd to call this a comfort watch, but this is a movie I could definitely see myself watching again. I think it has, like, a kind of warmth and discomfort of real life that I do really like basking in. And again, I do think that the film's writing, as spare as it is, does like trigger a lot of things in my own life to reflect on, and helps like, and is therapeutic in a sense for me parsing through those things. And I would say that like, if you're a fan of the more minimalist, like modernist literature, say like Hemingway short stories or Raymond Carver short stories, I think there's a lot that you're gonna like here. If you don't like Jim Jarmusch, I don't think that this is gonna convert you.
Don't come. Okay, so context, I'm a teacher, so I'm gonna grade this the way that I would grade like student work, right? Okay, so the thing is, I like this movie in theory a lot. Like, I like this movie on paper. And I feel like I like this movie a lot on paper. I would give this movie a D, but if this movie came to my office after class and like begged for a higher grade and like talked about its own virtues, I would bump it up to a C- or a C.
I feel like a C- is fair. I feel like a D is kind of aggressive.
I hated this movie. I thought it was so bad. Yeah, not a fun watch for me. And I love minimalist literature too, and modernist literature.
Yeah.
I think this felt like what you would write in your high school English class after your modernist literature unit.
There's one of my favorite film critics is Adam Naiman, and he always comes on the Big Picture podcast, and they call him Mean Pod Guy, and Domenic could be like our Mean Pod Guy.
Yeah.
He could come in and just like hate on everything.
Yeah.
But if you agree with Domenic or you found his perspective interesting, I'm going to link his socials below, so definitely follow him on Letterboxd. I always find his reflections on film really interesting, and I rarely agree with them, so like it's kind of fun to talk about movies together.
Yeah, it's really fun disagreeing with movies.
Yeah. If there's any like thing that is not great about Movie Husbands, is that Matt and I agree almost all the time.
Yeah.
So you'll probably see Domenic in the future at some point. But
yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with this review. Thanks for coming to see this movie with me. And this movie comes out, I think, on Christmas Day. So it's a while till it comes out. But if you happen to check it out, definitely let us know what you thought in the comments, and we will see you next time.
Yeah. If you want to have a terrible time with your family for Christmas,
Bye.
Bye.